Gracious, good morning. Sunday night after midnight or early Monday morning after our third decision for Jade Universe. This is Professor Tommy Halstead, Coach T, coming to you with our usual recap. Since we're going into decision four now, and five is something totally different, which I'll mention in a second, I'm just going to quickly, you're veterans at this process now, so I'm just going to go run quickly through the video slices you can use for your final paper and also your analysis for this time. Just enough, a brief commentary, but enough to take screenshots of what you need for your final papers, which will be done as teams. Today you've got, or this week, this topic six, which is going to be our fourth decision. It's really the most important kind of final decision. You have another one next week, decision five, but in decision five, things happen with inventory that makes it a lot different and easier in some ways, but also teams can jump up places. You'll see in the recap, which I'll show you in a second, that the blue and yellow teams are a sine curve. They've got an alternating, oscillating frequency going up and down in the second place, almost closely tied. Red has jumped ahead by 2 points now instead of one, and so red continues to improve. And the good news for the whole universe is everyone has really moved up, with the exception of eco. That is also a problem. Some people get eco, some don't. You have to be very careful because eco tends to be overinvested in engineering, which changes capex, and it makes it really hard to keep up with production. So the lost orders over inventory are always tough in eco. You'll see that here too. But just look at the sim now. You started deep into red ink, and now you've gotten most of the lines up to the black ink. You'll see that in a second. But I wanted to mention the channel here. As you go into decision four, you're on @Mouse and Professor watching this. Look at the other videos along the playlist because there is a video called Before Decision 4, and then I don't want you to get too ahead of yourself. There's enough work to do, but there is a final Decision 5 one for next week also. So please get your teams together. The peer reviews went fantastic. Everybody did really well. I got a couple down to the wire by 11:58 p.m. for peer reviews, so I apologize that they didn't come out until, as you're watching this, say hi to my former self, that later on Monday, because I had to do a whole grid of everybody because you grade yourself. So I can't do the whole class until even the last straggling person is in. So they're in now, they're done. Peer reviews are graded, did all the grading for everything else. I'm still working on grading for the, I did your participation grading, working on the grading for your last paper, which most all of you did as teams, which is wonderful. So at the beginning of the sim, I'm in the class, I'm always telling people, work together on this, and it's really slow starting. But at this point, it's really awesome to see you all working together so much on the text groups and all that good stuff. So we'll now jump into our, just running quickly through our visuals, but I wanted to remind you that while you're on the channel, bookmark it, make sure you can come back here and look at a couple of those videos, as well as looking closely at the videos of visuals here, because these slides you'll see really show you what's going on. I'm not going to do as much commentary because you already get this, but at least you'll be able to see and analyze what you're doing compared to the competition and what the customers actually want. So we will get into screen sharing and the visuals. Okay, you saw this on Halo. This is our comparative EBIT. We can see that blue team had a problem in image, which is, I'll work with you on our text groups about what happened there to help for next time. And blue got into positive territory on family, which red has been trying to do. But you can see this whole line here. We were deeply down here. This was also in trouble, and we had a little bit of a problem in family, but red still got to do some work in family, and blue has still got to do work in image. Everybody gets killed every sim with eco because it's a very difficult, but you can see what's flagged in terms of, if you have a finance person on your team, they're always pushing the same thing for the team, which is, in fact, some of you said this in your peer review positively, that if someone's saying, do not go for revenue, go for EBIT, watch your costs, go for Rosé, with my Rosé hat, you'll see that's what's happening with the sales revenue up here, that the 18 and 19 is about the standard because it's coming a lot from image, and blue should be, yes, drop down here. So you can see that nose neck to neck with red and yellow, but blue dropped down because of so much profitable revenue in EBIT that comes from that comes from the image line. And if you spend a lot on the image line, especially with engineering, but you have a problem with lost orders and you're not making them, your cost will go way up, meaning your EBIT will be way down compared to the revenues, which is really going to plunge you down there in image. Not terribly, but it's a problem that can be fixed in four. And I'm here to tell you, with as close as this universe has been, blue can end up winning this whole thing at the end. It's very possible with 4 and 5. As could yellow. Now, red's trend has been up, 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 and doing fantastic, but we're still not into positive territory here in the finance. The two key financial indicators, ROSE are both, and ARE are both still negative. Now, if you look at let's look at our cash quickly. We'll look back at that again, but when you see these 19,000s, every single team in the universe has had a government loan now, which is very unusual, especially for your leader. But the you've been burning through a lot of cash to try to invest in the flywheels, especially in family, and but we're burning a lot of cash not just with capex, but because of production. It's really been hard to match the LOI lines in this universe. And it's just very delicate because there's a lot of gears that turn. If you don't have a deep managerial accounting, finance, economics person on the team, it gets really hard to figure out, okay, how do we match this? The formula's not hard. It's looking at CapEx, backing it off, adding back depreciation, but you have no experience in that. And let's say you're going into marketing or something less deeply financial, you still have to know this as you increase in your careers and have to, run a small company, a big company, your own company, however that works, because you're going to be pouring through these financials. And it's a matter of pattern recognition. As you practice like you have been here, you'll see more and more how those ratios are important and which wheels turn which other wheels. So let's quickly now, without a lot of commentary, jump to the other ones you can take a shot of each line. This is, of course, the overall industry totals, company at a time, but let's look at what happened with each of the lines and look at the red lines, but take a screenshot for your final papers and for your next decision. Low cost. Unit cost and plant capacity are very important, especially let's look at blue. Now let's go to, and we'll look at blue closely in image too, because we know something happened there. Plant capacity is very, very different in family here, which shows what's going on, especially with yellow there at 90%. Same thing with yellow here at 15. This should be what, eco? This is where everybody got kind of killed. Our price is fine. Everybody's at the same price. Engineering's fairly high on red. Want to be right around 100. That's not too bad, actually. Red and yellow. Inventory is a huge difference here. I got a lot of text asking, what do we do about excess inventory? And I sent a long text back and posted it in Halo. All right, now let's look at our flagships here in image, and especially looking at what happened in blue in terms of capacity. Let's see, where are we at? Okay, well, we're not too that far up. We're all close to 100, which is not that bad. Let's see, capacity use are 85. No big differences in price. Um, engineering is really big in image. Let's see if there's any differences there. Oh yeah, there's a definitely yellow jumped up there and blue dropped down in terms of engineering. Demand shares. Again, blue, yeah, it's just a matter of market share. You don't have the unit cost to spread over that base of installed base when you have only 30% share. So it's hard to get ahead and build a flywheel when you have such small share in a line. Okay, let's jump over to our lost orders over inventory. Okay, here's LOI in low cost. Our zero line should be right where blue is here. Blue's doing great in low cost. And yellow really had a turnaround here coming from a lot of lost orders towards the zero line. Red's got a great trend going too, from excess inventory to selling out that inventory. So you all made some great decisions in low cost, getting towards balance in this at the end of the sim. So that fantastic, hats off. Family, we've got some inventory being built in all three lines, but not terribly. I mean, blue and red are a little bit high. They could, you know, make more, and yellow also is going in a right direction toward zero. So everybody's correcting really well with these LOIs, but the EBIT, of course, is dependent on also on cost, unit cost, and market share. Those are very important because if your unit cost is high, the ROCE is going to go down, as are your retained earnings. Eco, where everybody gets killed. Um, Blue is not too bad here. Look at that. And again, the trends are good in both lines. Red is flattened out and is moving towards not having as much inventory. They didn't just keep shooting up that line towards inventory. It should be like right here, right? So they did move that inventory. And in terms of lost orders below the line, yellow made enough more, but we will see a difference as we look at blue and image. This is where blue went wrong in image. They had a trend, but instead of continuing to, from the standpoint of building inventory and not marketing and selling that, you don't have to lower your price, but you have to market and sell that. All the advice that Red took, as I looked through the financials on how to reduce inventory, Blue did kind of the opposite in image. So just need to look back at the whole section I did on Halo about how do you reduce inventory. And it's complicated. There's on biz485.com, there's also charts to see on how to do that. And I'll be covering that a lot more before this decision and as you are making them. Okay, so let's jump to each of the teams, quickly run through the white lines so you can take shots of them and use them in your final paper and final presentation, your PowerPoints. Red team in low cost, keeping things flat, not over investing in it, and staying near the line of the value chain. Same thing with marketing. Red team and family. Red team and eco-friendly. And red team and image. Just did very well. Blue team number one in emissions. Blue team in low cost, not doing terribly, but you can see the gap in what's that, robustness? Robustness and should be design. Where's design? Yeah, robustness and design are way down here. They need to be a little bit higher to match that line. Family, dead on in family. We're looking towards eco image here, of course. Eco, where everybody got kind of killed there. Everybody's overspending or underspending. Eco is really hard to match. And image, not too bad. It looks like technology's been a little bit underspent, but we saw on the financials the problem really were more in terms of capacity on the image side. Let's jump to yellow. Notice the gas price index has gone from like $1 to 230, so that's something to remember. Yellow and low cost, yellow and family, Yellow and eco-friendly, yellow and image. And that's it for our screenshots that we can take for our next decision. And I'll be posting a lot more in graphics and texting, especially in our text groups for individual kind of tweaks that we have to do, not major big changes. Keep on staying the course, red team, but you can also build more of a flywheel and image. And blue needs to turn image around. And that's really when you looked at the inventory being built there, we have to look at last topics, tips on reducing inventory, and also in Biz 485. That balance between CapEx, the production, and then marketing. Thank you so much. We will see you in Halo. Good job, everybody. Oh, and work together on your coming papers, on your value paper. And as we're moving towards the final decision here, it's all about how do you translate everything you've learned from SMART and SWOT and strategy to your own personal careers. So we turn it around from running the company in the sim to saying what is the relevance to our own personal journey as business people and CEOs in the real world after being CEOs in the sim world.